the synonyms question type. So with this one, there is not too much technique involved in being able to do this. The thing that will get you the most marks here is actually knowing a lot of words and having a wide range of vocabulary. So if we just have a quick look at what the question type is, it will give you two groups. Where does it say that? So you are given two groups. Each group consists of 3 words, and you have to find 2 words which have a similar meaning, one from each group. So don't find 2 words in the same group. Make sure you're finding 2 words from different groups. So you can see here there is a group 1 and there is a group 2, and you want to find a word from each one that matches. So the instructions that we've given here is to maybe look at the first word, compare it to these 3. So does apple match to grass? Sorry, no. Does apple match to dish? No. Does apple match to chair? No. So then you cross it off, you move to the next one. Does plate match to grass? Nope. Does plate match to dish? Yes. They are quite similar in meaning, and there you are, I've already circled it here. They are the closest in meaning, that's why you circle them too. So we're going to do the let's practice now section, because these words are very difficult, and so these have intentionally been put here, and I think the next section is also quite difficult, but the main thing with synonyms is we don't want you to be practicing speed or technique. We want you to just have a very wide range of vocabulary. So what we've done in this book is we've put very difficult words that for a lot of these questions you probably won't know the answer to these unless you look up the words in a dictionary, which is what you're going to have to do for most of these. And what you have to do though, what you have to make sure you do, is once you've looked it up in a dictionary and you've maybe noted it down in a vocab book, you want to become familiar with these types of words. You want to try and use them in sentences whenever you're speaking, or try and use them in sentences whenever you have to write. The more you use these words, the more you'll be familiar with them and the more you'll understand them. And then if they come up in the exam, this whole list of words, like you're going to be doing a lot better than most students in the 11+ exam, basically. So what I'm going to do here, for any of these words that I suspect you won't know the definition to, I'm going to read out a definition and let you, for example, have a go at guessing which one is going to be the synonyms from the definitions. Some of them you'll be able to figure out without needing definitions. So with the first one, actually, I assume you know what sweat means, I assume you know what cable and reveal means, but let's have a look at the second side. This side is a bit more complicated, so let me just give you some definitions. There we go. So I've just added these in, and if you have a look, so this is for stigma, this is for, arrow is wrong place. This is for disclose, and this is for veracity. So you can see the stigma is something where you're sort of looked down upon for doing it. So there might be a stigma around a certain topic and you might not want to be talking about it. Disclose is to make a secret known, or veracity means truthfulness, and you should be able to from that figure out that disclose and reveal are the most similar. Now for question 2, most of these are quite easy words, so I think there won't be any need for definitions here. You can very quickly actually see, or try gigantic against all of these. So honesty doesn't work, evolution doesn't work, and enormous does work. So then you got the answer for question 2. Let me give you some explanations for question 3. So the 2 words that I expect you to not know is maybe vivacity and recluse, but also blunder and obsolete you might not know. So blunder, if any of you have played chess before, is when you make a mistake in a game. Not in a game, just a mistake in general. But obviously when it's in chess, it's a mistake in chess. So vivacity as well is when you're very lively. Recluse, as you can see, I just googled that to try and give you a definition. Let me just write that in. So hopefully you know what solitary means. And obsolete basically means that you are, it means useless basically. So I'm just going to write that, useless. So now from that, see if you can figure out which of the words are synonyms. I've noted one already. So blunder is a mistake, and fumble is also making a mistake. And that should be your answer to question 3. So you should know the most of these for question 4. So velocity is like a form of speed. So if you have a lot of velocity, you're moving at fast speed. It's a simple way to put it. Gala, a social occasion with a special entertainments for all performances. So basically a social occasion. Bolster, if you're bolstering your gun, you're sort of putting it away. Or you might be bolstering the defences. So that would mean to be sort of supporting the defences. Or strengthening the defences. So sinister, that just means sort of evil. Minuscule means small. And support, there you go. You've got your definition right there. Bolster and support. So question 5, not too difficult again. The only one I would expect you to not know here. Maybe retrospect and maybe plume. So retrospect is when you're maybe looking, so if you're looking at something in retrospect, it means you're looking back at something. Plume is another word for a feather or a feather basically. So you've got your answer right there as well. So this one is a bit difficult as well. So devil, let's just have a look at it. Let's go through the technique. So devil doesn't match with, I'll need to give you what adroit means. So adroit means swift and clever, and deft means swift as well. So that sort of actually gives it away a bit. But you can see devil doesn't match with any of these. So slumber means to sleep, and pose means to be in a pose, like a T-pose, you know. Just to be in a form, moving your body in a different form. Dwell means to be walking around, so like you're dwelling the corridors. But yeah, I mean, you've quickly got the idea that adroit and deft are the ones that are synonyms, and both of these might not be words that you know, and that is the reason why you want to be familiar with these. So it's a good thing if you're finding words that you don't know, because this is how you improve at synonyms. It isn't much about being able to, I mean, there is a technique, so there is a way that you can sort of get these questions right, even when you don't know all the words, but it's not too accurate, and really the best way to do it is to just know and know the words that they're giving you. So let's go on to question 7. Get through these hopefully. Ostentatious, loquacious, garrulous, and susceptible, gaudy, and beak. So here we've actually got 2 words here which both mean talkative basically, so loquacious and garrulous. So you might want to start using these if you can, and getting used to these words. And these will actually be really helpful for your creative writing if you're taking St. Olave's exam or the Kent exam. Actually, yeah, so a beak, as in a bird's beak, you probably know that. Gaudy means to be extravagant. And what you might see here, hopefully you can see it, is that gaudy actually matches with ostentatious, because being ostentatious is to be extravagant or to show off all your wealth, to ostentate. So let's have a look at question 8. There are 6 words obviously: sky, beacon, bevel, level, undertaker, firmament. So a bevel is like a slant, or like a slant or an outline, I'd say. And the other ones are pretty self-explanatory, except for firmament. So firmament, I think it can be used in a religious sense, but it's like a sky or the heavens, right? Now, you've got that synonym right there. So pause these before Actually, I'll give you a moment to pause for the next ones, hopefully. So, alright, let me just explain what mundane means. Mundane means boring. Commonplace means often, or commonplace, like something that is very common and happening all the time. Kernel is like a grain, I think something to do with seeds. And choir is a group of people that sing. So from that, have a go. Which one do you think it is? It's commonplace and mundane. These are both ways of saying something is boring or happens too often, or is not unique, basically. So, vagabond, stateliness, sink, majesty, bankrupt, miser. Alright, so miser is someone that is cheap, someone who doesn't like spending money. Vagabond is someone who wanders around, doesn't really have a home. Stateliness, sort of like, so imagine that the queen has a lot of stateliness, because she's very sort of majestic or is very high up. Let me give a proper definition. Yep, so that would mean formal, impressive, that type of stuff. And from that, have a go. Which one do you think it is? I'm going to go with stateliness and majesty, because you can basically describe a king or a queen with both of those words. And yeah. So let's have a look at the next one. Bibliography, adipose, altercate, always, argue, severe. So some of you might know what adipose means. You might have heard of adipose tissue. So it's sort of like fat. It is something that you put at the end of like a book, where you put all your references and your sources. So it's like a list, basically, of, so a source is like, maybe if you took a quote from a different book, you put a link or a reference to that book and say, I use this from there. So it's just a list of that. So I'd just describe it as a list of sources, basically. So altercate, and that would mean to, without trying to give it away, you might get into an altercation or a quarrel. So hopefully that's good enough. And then yeah, the rest of these are pretty self-explanatory, so have a guess at which one you think it is from there. I will go with altercate and argue. So if you're getting into an argument or an altercation, very similar thing there. Question 12. So balanced, podium, gesture, alright, doze, dace, and potion. So if you don't know what a podium is, most of you will know. Let me just draw one. So this is like first place, second place, third place. That's what a podium is. Someone standing on like these things, right? A gesture is like making a hand gesture, you know, right? They're just making a gesture. Balanced, obviously, is self-explanatory. So this might be dose, like a dose of, maybe a dose of medication. So maybe you're taking, maybe a doctor prescribed you a dose of antibiotics or Calpol, whatever it is, and a dace, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that is a low platform or a throne type of thing. So have a guess from those, if you can figure out which one it is. I'm going to go with dace and podium because they're both platforms, and that's the closest one I can find, at least. So, question 13. Vanity and pride. These are both very similar. Vanity basically means excessive pride, and pride just means pride, being very proud or arrogant. Tiny, and yeah, let's have a look at which ones this could match to. So it's not going to be cunning, it's going to be microscopic, something that's very small. Sorry, I didn't give you a chance on that one. I think that one's a bit easier. So, final one. Weight, quiver, plump, sober, slender, obese. Alright, so slender is skinny. Sober, most of you will know what this means. So if you're not intoxicated, if you haven't drunk alcohol or any of that, that means you're sober. So sober. Plump, you're sort of fat. Quiver, if you're like quivering or shivering, similar type of thing. And weight is just a measurement. So, take a guess. I'm going to go with plump and obese because they're both fat, basically. But yeah, that is about it for the Let's Practice Now section. It's a bit of a different one compared to all the other sections because this actually just tests you on your knowledge, really. This is not something that you can practice technique on. You just have to learn a lot of different difficult words. So your aim with this section shouldn't be to get as many right as possible. It should be to get to a point where you understand all of these words, right? So maybe you've done it one day, do it in pencil, and then you might want to do it 2 or 3 days later, try it again. And the thing is, you'll find that you've forgotten some of these words again, and you can keep doing it over and over again until you know all of these words, and even the words that aren't part of it. So for example, with this one, question 8, make sure you know what bevel means, even though it's not part of the answer. Alright. So yeah, I mean, practicing them again and again will sort of get you to a point where you might understand these words more often, but also just keeping a vocab book, using them, and doing the same thing with the next section, which is below. We've got more questions down there. So yeah.